There is anger and there is outrage in the streets of London tonight over the death of Sarah Everard. Now, hundreds of people attended a vigil in her honor, despite the fact that the event was officially being told to be canceled due to COVID-19 restrictions. And that led to some clashes between the police and the crowd that ended up showing up. Now, Hilary Johnstone is tracking this story for us, has much more on the story. Hilary, the story has developed quite a bit over the course of the day. We went from a vigil to no vigil to the vigil happening, and then so many people arriving that it actually got violent, and there are now reports of arrests. Streamline this for us. What happened?
That's right, Natasha. So earlier this evening, there were several people who were arrested by police in London at this vigil. And this vigil was held in Clapham Common. And these are these visuals that you're looking at right now of police getting into confrontations with people that were there. A lot of the people that were here were young women. There were more than 1,000 people, according to some reports, that were there this evening at Clapham Common. This was the last place that Sarah Everard was seen alive back on March 3rd. We don't have an exact number yet of how many people were arrested, but we do know that there were at least several arrests made. And throughout the day, there had been vigils. At times, they had been peaceful as well. And then as night fell, things really started to take a turn. So there were dozens of people that were gathering over the course of the day. People were laying flowers, that sort of thing. That was happening, Natasha, despite the fact that organizers had been asking people to stay home and to have virtual vigils instead, to try and pay their respects to Sarah and her family virtually. And the reason for that is because England is currently right now in a national lockdown, and people are not supposed to be leaving their homes except for certain reasons. And they could face large fines up to £10,000. That's about 17,000 Canadian dollars. Despite that, people were turning out throughout the day to try and pay their respects. That 33-year-old marketing executive who, as we said, was last seen on March 3rd walking through that Clapham Common area, which is where all those visuals were at that bandstand before she disappeared.
So, Hilary, we're in this situation today where all the news and the headlines is about the vigil happening, not happening, the arrest. Did the police use too much force? But in the meanwhile, we've got a murder investigation. So what's the latest on that?
Yeah, that's right. There's really sort of two stories unfolding here at the same time today. So the accused, a 48-year-old police officer, a Metropolitan London police officer by the name of Wayne Cousins, he made a court appearance earlier this morning and was charged in connection with Sarah's, both her murder and also was facing kidnapping charges as well. And that is part of the reason why there has been so much anger, is because he is a police officer. And what you're seeing right now, this was from earlier this week. So Sarah Everard, human remains that were later identified as being that of Sarah Everard, they were found in this wooded area about 80 kilometers away from where she was last seen. This is in a southeastern part of the country, southeastern part of England, and those remains were found on Wednesday, and then it was just yesterday on Friday that through dental records, police were able to confirm that those remains that had been found, sadly, that was the 33-year-old, that was Sarah Everard. And Natasha, this story has really launched this massive discussion about what it's like for women to walk home. So there's been a lot of talk on social media about some of the things that women try and do to keep themselves safe so that they can get themselves home safely. There's been a lot of women who have come forward and have shared their own experiences, their own stories of things that have happened to them when they have been trying to get home. So what started in England, what started in London with the story of this disappearance has really sort of expanded from there. Of course, the sad news coming earlier this week that those remains found, that those were Sarah Everard. And now, as we're seeing with this vigil, with these images that are unfolding, there's also simultaneously this story going on of women who are clashing with police at that vigil in London earlier this evening.
Hilary, you're so right. What started off as a local London story has now become an international issue about women's safety. Thanks so much, Hilary Johnstone in Ottawa.